Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day taking a look here at Render. We're going to quickly peek at a handful of different scenarios, Elliott wave and obviously some larger term, bigger movements that we're seeing right now. Some really cool stuff, and there's a good chance we could see a breakout. And obviously we're going to talk about that and much more. So if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, I love to teach people to trade. Hope you can learn something here today. And obviously if you do, feel free to comment below, like, subscribe, follow the whole 9 yards. Greatly appreciate your support. Also, of course, we're supporting you as well with our recent affiliation here with BingX. You get a $100 trading bonus, no volume required or deposit required. Just straight up get that bonus, which is nice. It's only available for the first 100 members, and the majority of my community members have already used that, but feel free to use this yourself. Main reason why, though, is this replaces Bybit. Because, again, they had full KYC. A lot of my folks in Canada, US, UK got hit pretty hard with that. So there is no requirement for VPN or KYC there, unless you're in like small parts of Canada. Just keep that in mind. There is a VPN somewhere along the lines of that. But that being said, what we're going to look at here is a couple of key factors. So let's start with a daily and kind of work our way down and kind of just see what's going on here. First of all, we tested the RSI at 70 yesterday, or I think it was maybe the day before yesterday, and we rejected off that level. Okay, money flowed out of the coin. Obviously that happens when your selling pressure is high. Then of course the price bounced right off that support, and we're retesting 70 again. So we can break above 70. That would be the new support level potentially to hold the price action in place. Keep in mind, when the price goes above 70, really cool things can happen where the price can get really cool and really crazy. And right now we're kind of in that price discovery mode, at least for the most recent time frame. And there's great potential for us to be able to break this level here, because you can kind of see there's a lot of volume in this previous range, and that's what we're hitting right now. So I don't think we're going to just explode and break out like fantastically, but I do think that in time, once we continue to retest this area, this range, the average true range will start to increase and the volume will as well. Okay, so it's going to be really cool stuff. So also, congrats to my community members who got in on the trade from yesterday too. We talked about that, just kind of getting in at this level here where the price would bounce off this 0.236. I mentioned 262 would be a good entry target. A lot of folks are up a good 5 to 10% with spots, and obviously a lot larger with leverage. So kudos and congrats on that. That said, though, is this going to sustain itself? How much more further can it go? Well, the MACD is still converging. We're still increasing, so momentum is gaining. We can see that if we look at the simple moving averages, we're above all three. That's positive. There's literally no downside here on the daily, right? The only thing that's potentially adverse is the fact that we are retesting 70 in the RSI. It's a common resistance level. But there's a handful of other things that could happen too, right? It looks like I just got filled on an order. That's fantastic. All right, very good. So when it comes to render, though, what we want to look at is the 4 hour, and I think if I recall correctly, there was some interesting data here with the Elliott wave from yesterday. Okay, really telling us here that we are at that highest point and there's potential for further retracement. Okay, so this is conflicting information here. This does tell us that if we don't establish a higher high here soon, or break through this level, then we should see that ABC pattern fulfilled. Okay, so in other words, the price action should continue lower because of that. So all in all, it's one of those things where we're in a situation where we got to be mindful of both scenarios, right? If we do break through that resistance level, there's a good chance it'll hold and continue higher. If we don't break through that level, we might see further downside. Okay, let's go ahead and see if there's any overextension here as well. We got a MACD convergence here in the last 12 hours. That's very good. That's an extremely good sign. We like to see that. We can also see this nice healthy bounce off 50 on the RSI here too, trending closer to 70. So this little push here could be coming to an end. We look at T sequential, we see we're at a 6. We have another, 12 to 16 hours of potential continuation higher. So if we don't break through this level here soon, it's a great chance we're going to retrace and come back down. Okay. So again, the macro looks fantastic. The 4 hour looks still pretty good. We're firing on all cylinders. You just got to recognize that we are kind of a bit on the overextended side going into a resistance level. And when you are overextended to a resistance zone, one or two things happens. Oftentimes it will just kind of fizzle out. The RSI will slowly taper off, the price with it. Or you see this strong breakout as like a short squeeze that could shoot the price action to that level. So both those scenarios are potential. So we'll see here on the hourly if there's any other indication of kind of what's going on here. So let's quickly peek at the obvious. TD sequential on the hourly tells us that we are not overextended. We're seeing this nice, healthy continuation pattern. This is what I like to look for. I refer to it as a staircase pattern. If you've been watching me for a while, you'll know that that is something that I like to look for. Healthy continuations like this have a potential for sustaining themselves. It's not a shot up and a shot down. It's a smooth, healthy, up, over, and we're looking good. Okay, so this is awesome here. This tells us that this little push could be very, very viable, and more likely than not, the price could come up from here. Okay, so that's awesome news there. We can also see here as well that on the Ichimoku cloud, we're maintaining momentum and continuation above the cloud. So we broke through the cloud soundly. continued upwards, and ever since it hasn't really looked back. So lag spans free and clear. The conversion line's above the baseline. We're in a pretty good shape here to see the price action retest this 290 range. Okay? So that's not a super massive increase, but that's a good 3 or 4%. Depending on the leverage you're using, that could be a nice healthy profit. So it does seem favorable. We're going to retest this level in the next half a day, but I would expect the price to reject off that level potentially before we come back down. Keep in mind this previous candle wick was exactly that. The tons of volume came in and out at that exact moment. So in truth here, this might be like one of the first attempts to retest that level if you think about it. Okay, because a large candle wick like this, I try not to take that into consideration. So are we looking good here? Well, I would say yes, absolutely. Render looks like it wants to continue to push higher. There's really no signs here telling us that we want to turn ourselves around. Curious if we are overextended on the 15. We did have a recent confirmational sell signal here from our CC Gold indicator, but everything else is looking pretty good. So we don't have any confirmation signs here telling us we want to get in right now, but we're well above the moving averages. We're above the cloud. There's a lot of different reasons why a long might seem more viable than a short right now, okay? So be careful, obviously. Make sure you set some stop losses. Put your stop loss in good shape, a good place, of course, but it does feel like we're going to retest this level of 292 and potentially break through that. Just note that we've got maybe about a half a day's trading worth left of momentum to the upside before we have a potential for pullback there. Once again, we have to establish higher and higher or higher low in this continuation here. If we don't, we could see the price fizzle out. So pay attention to that. I hope that makes sense to you and I described that correctly. We're looking pretty darn good here. I've always been bullish on Render. I loved being able to buy the dip here recently and even previous to that as well. So you've been following me for a while. Thanks again for your support. Greatly appreciate you guys. We'll look forward to working with you in the future and hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll see you soon. Take good care.